Hello and welcome back to the Boxing Index podcast. This week we are going to be talking about the upcoming Callum Smith versus Canelo fight this weekend. It's in Texas, and obviously it's a big fight. Canelo's not been in the ring since November last year, since he fought Kovalev. Obviously he had his legal problems with DAZN and Golden Boy, and strangely enough this one is actually back on DAZN. But Golden Boy are not involved. It's being promoted by Matchroom, which is how Callum Smith actually ended up getting the fight. I think it was between him and Billy Joe Saunders. He's coming in at only 4 weeks' notice, which could be a bit of a tricky one, but apparently he'd been training beforehand, so hopefully that won't be too much of a problem. And I guess it's the same situation for both men, so you can't really moan about it too much. This podcast is sort of going to be a preview, but also a bit of fight analysis. I've watched some of these guys' past fights, tried to pick up little things here and there about what might give certain fighters the edge or not, or what their weaknesses might be. I think for Callum Smith, he obviously has power. If you watch his knockouts of Hassan and Dam or George Groves, both big knockouts, big punching power. But then to counteract that, Canelo obviously has one of the best chins in boxing. And I think if Kovalev or Golovkin can't even drop him, let alone knock him out, it's difficult to see Smith being able to do that. Although you would have to say that Callum Smith definitely has deterrent power, as in he'll be able to keep Canelo at bay with his power, even if he can't necessarily drop him. So that should definitely help him in the fight. But so I watched Canelo's fight with Rocky Fielding because I thought height-wise, because obviously Callum Smith is 6'3", Canelo's only 5'8". Rocky Fielding, I think, was 6'1", same weight class as well. It was Canelo's only previous fight at super middleweight, so I thought that'd be a good fight to watch in terms of gauging how this fight might go. Fielding, I don't think Rocky Fielding fought a particularly tactically good fight. He was very brave, but a bit naive in terms of how he approached the fight. He kept leaning in to fight on the inside, even after he'd been dropped by 2 body shots, which I thought was really strange. And Canelo would throw these uppercuts to make Fielding's hands come down and then just throw the left hooks to the body to drop him. And obviously with Fielding being the taller man, there was a lot of body to hit. And I think this will be a similar problem that Smith will have. There is a lot of body to hit, and Canelo is notorious for targeting the body. I think Smith will need to keep the fight on the outside, but he didn't really show that kind of restraint against John Ryder, and neither did Rocky Fielding in this fight. I think I don't know whether it's this sort of Northern English mentality where they love a bit of a scrap. They can't resist getting on the inside and trying to have a bit of a scrap. One thing I did notice in this fight was that Canelo's very good at coming behind the guard with the left hook. So even because Callum Smith's defense is he just gets up in his guard, and just sort of leans back against the ropes, but Canelo can find a way around that. And he throws this deceptive left hook, which we've seen against Golovkin, where he seems as if he's going to the body and then brings it up to the head. So that'll be another thing that Smith will have to watch out for. In the Kovalev fight, this is another one where it was Canelo against the smaller man. Obviously, Kovalev's got big power like Callum Smith does. And to be fair to Kovalev, I think he was winning on some of the judges' scorecards. And he was able to win rounds literally just behind the jab, just touching him up from range. But most of the times he threw the right hand, he was countered immediately. Canelo's very sharp in that way, and he's very good at taking any opportunity if he is invited into range by the bigger man. So that will be something that might sort of throw Callum Smith off, because he'll know that every time he throws that right hand, he's at risk. And I guess jabbing the whole fight is simple and effective. I guess it's quite boring for the fans, but I mean, if you look at like Lyndon Arthur and Joe Joyce recently, obviously they haven't beat people of Canelo's caliber, but they've won fights behind the jab. It's a very simple but effective punch in boxing. So I think if Callum Smith's going to win this fight, he'll really have to get that jab going. One thing that the Kovalev fight did show was that Canelo does have the power to knock out the bigger men, and he was absolutely clinical with the finish. It was such a clean, accurate right hand for the KO. Any slip-ups and Callum Smith could find himself in trouble. And in terms of Callum Smith, so I watched the Callum Smith-John Ryder fight, because again, height-wise, John Ryder's about the same size as Canelo, same physical attributes. And Callum Smith, he does like to box at range, but I thought Ryder managed to get in very easily, which is something that Canelo might look to exploit. In the fight, Smith really doesn't make Ryder work for it at all. he as soon as Ryder steps in, he just covers up against the ropes, which is fairly effective against Ryder. But as I guess not too many of his punches get through. But Canelo's a far more creative and he's a lot more diverse with his punch output. So I don't think that just putting the guard up will be as effective of a defense against Canelo. It's quite a linear defense, and I think Smith likes to pick his shots and fight at a slightly slower pace, which suited him in fights with George Groves and Hassan and Dam, where it was a cagey chess match, both of them just sort of looking to pick each other off at range. But with Ryder, and especially in this Canelo fight, he's not going to give him any time to breathe in there. And he generally has quite a high punch output relative to Smith, I guess, especially if you watch the two Golovkin fights. But one thing I would put on Callum Smith's side is that he is a good finisher. When he does wobble someone, he tends to get them out of there. And so if he does wobble Canelo, I imagine he'll finish him. But the chance of him actually wobbling Canelo, I reckon, are very slim. So I think I'm backing a Canelo knockout in this fight. I think body shot's going to play a huge part in it. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it tonight. So make sure to tune in on DAZN. And yeah, that's my little take on it today. Make sure to go check out our website at www.boxingindex.co.uk and check out our social medias on @BoxingIndex on Twitter and Instagram. And like and subscribe this video and let us know if you enjoyed this analysis and if you'd like more videos like this in the future. All right, cheers for listening. Bye.